Dun, 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 dun. Alrighty. Hello, everybody. I am Viper Racers, or Viper UK, whichever one you want to go by. With me is Kenzie. Would you like to say hello?
Hello. Hi.
So, long story short, this is Sega GT 2002 Chronicle mode. Now, I'll be quite blunt about this. This run can either go close to estimate or go really under, depending on how the game treats you. We'll get into the run first and foremost. I'll give you a countdown first, and then we'll get talking about the game. So, I think we're ready on time. In that case, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so, Chronicle mode. What is there to say about Chronicle mode? Well, where should we start, Kenzie? Cars or trucks?
I mean, for the game mode itself, I suppose we should start there. So, if you're not familiar with this game, like this is not like the main mode. This is not the this game has a career, but this is the Chronicles mode. So you start in the 60s? No, in the 70s.
70s, yeah.
In the 70s, and it's like a long like a competition through time. So you do one race every decade until you get to the every 5 years. Yeah, it's the 70s, early 80s, late 80s. So you start with like these pretty classic cars, and you like you get these big upgrades to kind of keep them competitive, and it's we started with the Jaguar E-Type, pretty nice car. Well, how would you describe it overall in terms of the game? I think it's a pretty
exotic.
Yeah, almost. Yeah,
for a 70s car, very. I don't know if you can call it vibrant, but yeah, very. It does look like it's from the 70s because it's got that kind of body styling. It's something that cars don't have anymore, I think.
Yeah. It's a very like the design is very of its time. Yeah, I agree. And it's like just in terms of like gameplay, it's very. Oh my God, why can't I like get this word? But it's like it's very kind of an all-rounder. It's like it's like a nice balance. It's very balanced. It's not too heavy. It's not the most powerful car, but it's definitely you can already see you're absolutely slaughtering the AI on this. It's it's a pretty powerful car, and it's not too heavy like the what is it, the Chevy Corvette that you could be driving right now as well, is like a bit more powerful but way heavier.
It's the Stingray. So it's like in terms of the car list for the Chronicle mode, a lot of these cars are they're very different in terms of their handling, first and foremost. But not only are they different in terms of their handling, but as Kenzie was saying, they're very different in terms of power as well. So, for example, in certain places you might find that the cars can handle pretty decent. Some can slide out more than others, some can grip to the road more, but the E-Type as a whole, as Kenzie was saying, is a very good all-rounder. The Corvette it just loves to spin its wheels and things like that, which isn't great, but well, what can you do? Speaking of cars, I think we could probably give a rundown of that list and see what people make of it. So have you got the list?
Yeah, I do, because right, 302 is a pretty good time.
Not too bad so far.
Yeah. So you definitely for this category, the most popular one is the E-Type Jag. We mentioned the Corvette Stingray, which is very powerful, but very heavy to kind of balance that out. And as you can see here, we have like a specific route in terms of what upgrades are good to buy. So that's something that Viper needs to focus on.
I got a bad one, but oh well.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a pretty bad one, but again, this is why we have the estimate as high as we do, because in terms of routes for the game, in most racing games it's usually pretty straightforward. The races stay the same, but in this particular game or this particular mode even, I don't know. Does it carry over to the actual main career mode as well? I think it does, doesn't it? Not mistaken.
I'm sorry. What exactly? What carries over?
Does the track RNG, does it carry over to like the main career mode? I forget.
In the career mode, all the RNG is, or well, like most of the RNG is seeded, like so you can kind of control for it, like in the main like season 1 career mode speed run. You kind of know what to expect with most of the things. But yeah, like I don't think we properly went into that. So in Chronicle mode, the track selection is done randomly. So Brad has to finish 6 races, and obviously, like, because we upgrade the car throughout the run, we'd like a bit shorter tracks towards the start, and then when the car is nice and powerful, then we can really take on the long tracks. So we've not got fantastic RNG here. We got the Standing Night Speedway for our second track, which it's not perfect RNG. Like if this was if this was a world record attempt, this run would immediately be in the bin, sadly. But I will say it's not the worst RNG. Like there are 4 like patterns you can get, and right now this is either pattern 2 or pattern 4. We don't know yet. But yeah, this like Brad's basically to no fault of his own lost 70 seconds here, like for the speed run. Yeah. So that is a big shame.
Just as a heads up as well, for those that are wondering, like the main time difference, the amount of time you lose on like the best RNG versus the worst, I think is 5 minutes, maybe a bit more, a bit less. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it obviously depends on a lot of factors, but when I just because I've got just like a list of like the best race times. When you add all of those together, it's like, from best RNG to worst RNG, you lose at least like 2 minutes and 10 seconds. But yeah, that's. Sorry.
But yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty bad with the amount of time you lose. But the one thing we can definitely say, so there's a few like bits and pieces that we can just briefly mention. So I'm playing this on a Xbox 360, whereas the record holder, which happens to be Kenzie, is played on original Xbox, and there's a good reason for that. So for I don't know the exact reason. I don't think either of us know the exact reason. But if you play this, so I'm playing this right now on an Xbox 360, and there's somewhere along the lines, like you get in certain titles, some games don't play properly or at full speed. So for some reason, Sega GT 2002 plays, I'm not going to say 100% smooth on the original Xbox, but it plays a lot smoother. There's a lot less times where the frame rate it dips, whereas on the 360, even though it's more powerful hardware, the game goes, I don't know. So it just ends up lagging out pretty bad at times. You'll notice like the frame rate tends to drop on certain tracks in certain areas. On the original Xbox, you wouldn't really get that, but in this one, you actually do. But yeah, so that's the second race done, which is good.
Nice. Yeah. The like Xbox emulation has never really been worked out, even by the in-house folks. So yeah, that like emulating original Xbox titles on the 360 is like, most of them are like 98% good. There's always just a little bit of jank here and there where like here you just lose a little bit of time. That's a shame, but yeah.
So we've dealt with the late 70s, the early 80s, and now we're on to the late 80s. So this may be where the cars start to pick up. This is where the cars pick up in terms of power. But also, not only that, you notice that we are getting certain upgrades as we go on through the races. And as Kenzie was saying, the more races we go through, the more powerful our car becomes. And that's how you're actually able to take on cars that are much faster. So theoretically, in a straight fight, the car I'm driving right now should not be able to take on a 1980s Peugeot 205 T16. It just shouldn't. But because we've got upgraded tyres and a bolt-on turbo, which I think is probably one of the best upgrades in Chronicle mode, it ends up being a lot faster and can outgun it on the straights. Plus, as well, it's not just the actual car that gives you an advantage, it's all about the driving. So the driving is obviously the main, just like any other racing game, the driving is the main essential part of this game. Without a doubt, it just is. Not only that as well, it's definitely worth mentioning this one, is that this, would you say, Kenzie, this was Sega's version or Sega's attempt at a Gran Turismo game to some extent? Because I know they had Sega GT, didn't they? That was their official attempt, I'd say. But this wasn't far off.
It could very well be, but I have to also be honest. Like around this era, 2002, I'm not super aware of the other like racing games on the scene back then. I think you're gonna be more informed than me in that fact.
No, that's fair enough. Fair enough. They didn't get too bad of a racer, I don't think. They've not done too bad with this one, which is good.
Yeah, like this is a nice, a very good track as well. Like this is one of the shortest tracks in the entire game, and doing a very good job.
And across the line, nice. But yeah, as we were saying, so there's only 6 races in here. So this one, in my opinion, you can easily pick this game up. It's quite easy to get hold of, actually, surprisingly enough. So you can get hold of this game relatively straightforward. Relatively easy, sorry. And this mode, more than anything else, might be the one that you may want to, like, as in this particular speedrun might be the one that you go towards. And I know that Kenzie's mentioned it on a couple of occasions to me, which is a case of, so there is the Season 1 run, and there's the Chronicle mode run. There is actually a license glitch that you can get. Now, I didn't know this until I actually looked into it a bit more. But yeah, you're able to beat the first season by using a license glitch. And the way that works is, from what I gathered anyway, from what I've seen, if you have save files that are up to the certain point that you need them to be at, so for example, you have a license for most categories of cars, so like C-Class, B-Class, A-Class, and so on. If you have save files set up for each one, and you load that save and you do that license test, and then you go back, you reload the save file you had that's up to that point. That's like from a new game. It's a bit hard to explain, but to put it bluntly, if you have 2 save files that are at the same point in time, and you complete the license on one, and then you go back to the one that you didn't complete it on, the license carries over. So you're able to do licenses a lot faster than you think, and you're basically able to beat the seasons a lot faster than than you actually normally would. So, for example, take the first season. So the first season is, I'd say it's about an hour and 50, isn't it, Kenzie? Something like that. Quite a long one.
Yeah, 1 hour 50, about that.
Whereas if you use this license glitch, you can beat the run in like 25 minutes. It's ridiculous how much time it saves. But with that, you're basically doing barely any races, I'd say. You're doing several license tests. So you're doing the opening race, each of the license tests, and then you basically kit up for the last race, I think it is. The World Championship or whatever it is for Season 1, and that's how you beat it. unsurprisingly, I think when this was found out, immediately the mods were like, right, we need to do something about this.
Yeah, it was separated to its own category, and if I'm not mistaken, only one person's ever actually like done it.
Yeah, I think it was the guy that found it that was the only guy that's done it.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, this is a thing. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I've got to be honest. I'm personally not much of a fan of it because it's like it requires like a pre-made save file, so it's like New Game Plus.
Yeah, you have to do everything in advance.
Yeah, and like at the end of the day, it's like it's just it's a ton of menuing because like as Brad explained, like the actual glitch is just like it's just the menu position is remembered. So yeah, it's just like you've selected a race that you haven't actually unlocked, but the menu just puts you there because that's where you were before.
Yeah, it's really odd that such a thing exists. Also, it is faster for us to do that, by the way. When we hit the walls and things, it actually is quicker to do that.
On
just
certain corners. Exactly, yeah, on certain corners, it's just like, it pushes you in the right direction enough and doesn't actually reduce your speed as much as it would if you... Yeah.
As people probably think, hang on a minute, this guy can't drive. I thought he was supposed to be good at it. It's like, no, that's not it. That's not it. Yeah, it's just one of them things, that's all. Also, we've beat the early 90s, now we're into the late 90s, so the cars in the last two races get a bit more difficult. They're not super difficult, but they can be a bit difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I'm not sure which track we're at right now. I think this is the worst combination out of the two, isn't it?
What was this? This is a Blue Steel Speedway. It's not the worst of all. It's like
so I think the one we want is it Blue Steel Raceway we want, not Speedway, or is it a different one? I can't remember.
No, on the perfect the best RNG you would be on the same track right now.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Also, somebody asked an interesting question in chat I've just seen, saying, I wonder if Viper is named after the Dodge Viper. Believe it or not, I can give an interesting little backstory on that one. I mean, it's kind of like spilling the beans a bit, but the whole reason I went with the name Viper in the first place was because of the fact that, believe it or not, my favourite car is the Dodge Viper, or the SRT Viper GTS. I know they're two different cars, but still a Viper. That, and also, in a weird turn of events, I had a very strong knack for two words, which were Viper and Cobra. And I do not know why. Two great American muscle cars, or sports cars, I guess you would call them, but I'd say Cobra's a muscle car more like anything else. But yeah, for some reason, imagine having a philosophy where you go, I like these words a lot. I might name myself after them one day. That was pretty much the logic in that one. So, yeah, the more you know. Yeah, so for those that don't know that about me. Also, there is actually, I kind of missed it, but there is actually an advert in this game, especially on this track as well at the first corner, which was talking about the Dodge Viper, so that's quite ironic.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, there is, so, aside from the obvious here, which is it's a car racing game, car driving game, there is a multitude of cars from all over, from loads of different manufacturers and things like that. Japanese manufacturers aside, there are other cars in here as well. This game actually had, I guess you could call it a sequel, right? Which was Sega GT Online, which came out the following year.
Yeah, it was more of an update, really. Like it's like mostly it's just this game with like an expansion pack, I suppose you'd call it. Well, yeah, they expanded on the online mode. They added a few more tracks and like a bunch more cars. Like it's like the list of cars gets pretty ridiculous. It's like
funny. I picked it up recently. I've still yet to play it, but you never know.
Yeah.
Wait, does that mean I can get this in? Go on.
I have to say it, like, for the tracks that were added in Sega GT Online, I don't know, they don't feel as polished as like the rest of the tracks in this game, but I also have to admit, like, that might just be like, nostalgia blindness.
Maybe, you never know.
Yeah,
I doubt
mean,
it, but you never know.
I started playing this game at 6 years old, so I mean, yeah, obviously I've like, if someone comes along and changes that, like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm giving it a fair shake, but yeah.
Also, we are on the last race. So the last race is supposed to be Wild Country Circuit, but I think there's 2 races, isn't it, that you can have at the end? There's Wild Country Circuit and another one.
And Standing Night, but yeah, because you had that one as your second track, you're now going to Wild Country.
Nice.
So yeah,
there is like a certain pattern, but yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, it's not the worst RNG, but obviously, yeah, still, it's rough getting one of those really long tracks at the start when when your car's not so upgraded yet. But yeah, here you can see like Lotus Exige, like Nissan Skyline, like there's some real competition showing up.
And we're just gonna kind of hopefully pull away from them with a bit of luck. This is also a circuit as well, which, if you may remember back about 10 minutes ago when I mentioned about the lagginess, this is the circuit that for me shows it off the most. Like, you can tell that the frame rate has slowed right down on the 360. Why? I don't know, but yeah, it's a thing. Also, time will be at the end of this race. So probably about another 4 minutes off, give or
Something
take,
like that.
I'd say.
Yeah.
So the funny thing, as we mentioned though, like the main thing about this, more than anything else, is that if you were to run this game, would be to run it on an original Xbox more than a 360. If you happen to have a 360, don't fret. It doesn't mean that you can't run this game, because you can. The game works fine. It's just it does obviously does lag in places, but don't let that put you off. Unless you've got an original Xbox, then by all means pick one up. I'm pretty sure as well in this day and age it's not too bad or too expensive to pick up an original Xbox, especially and modify it as well. So that's always a plus this day and age. But yeah, have you got any interesting little backstories potentially with this game and fond memories, Kenzie?
I mean, for sure, yeah, but yeah, what to say? It's like yeah, you're talking about the original Xbox, yeah, like mine's modded as well. It's like, yeah, it's very easy to do. I would very much recommend people do it. But yeah, obviously I grew up with it, so I love the thing. And yeah, exactly. Someone said in chat as well, like this was a launch title for the original Xbox, and it came packaged in with Jet Set Radio Future, which, if you know me at all, you know I'm a huge fan of that one.
Good old Jet Set. See, that's another thing with Jet Set Radio Future. That's actually a game I've heard about, I've seen, but I've never played myself. But then again, I didn't grow up with the original Xbox, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, it's a shame they're all, exclusives. They were never like ported or like, and yeah, like original Xbox emulation is like, there's a few games that it works for, but yeah, mostly it's not an option for most people.
I was going to say, speaking of emulation and things like that, the original Xbox emulation has really come along quite well in recent years.
Yeah.
Which is quite impressive. So for those that are a bit unaware or been living under a rock for the last 5-10 years, so the original Xbox had emulation, just like any other console has probably got at this point. And when it was first in development, a lot of games and people aside found it very difficult to emulate anything, really. A lot of games didn't work, but Xbox emulation has come a long way, especially in the last couple of years. And I'm not sure about this game, but I do know that there are a good chunk of original Xbox titles that work with emulator now, on emulation. And some of them work flawlessly, others don't. It's the same knack with emulation, but if this ever reaches, if this game ever reaches emulation, I probably will give it a try. And I'll be like, yay, this is what it feels like to play without lag. So I think that's pretty much the way I put it. But also, this is another thing as well, is there is automatic gears and manual gears for this game. For the most part, you can play with manual, but it's probably, I'd say it's recommended to play with auto. Same with the assist as well, just for the sake of things. I mean, for me, I'm a big racing guy, but even you can see that I'm playing here with auto gears and things like that. Also, time will be coming up very shortly, so get ready on time. And time.
All right, GG.
Too bad. I think you did pretty decent there. So I believe that was a 2452. Which is pretty neat.
All right,
GG.
Yeah. Not bad at all.
Also, you get a bonus car as well for winning. So we got the Jaguar Mark II. So you can see here that depending on the car, you can win a varied amount of vehicles and things in this game, which is really, really cool. And then, yeah, you get this nice little outro cutscene to say, yeah, you went through the years, you beat every era of motorsport up until this point. But yeah, that is Sega GT 2002. I'm just going to quickly round out by saying a few final parts. First and foremost, thank you very much to SEGATHON for having me run this. It's been a blast. Albeit a very short one, but a blast from the past. Second thing is, definitely give this game a try. Even if you're not into racing, I promise it's a unique experience. I found it an interesting experience to play through when I played it. And like I said, if you've got a original Xbox or a 360 even, definitely recommend picking this up. Obviously, it plays better on original Xbox, but again, don't let that put you off playing it on an Xbox 360. And then, yeah, I think we get a nice little outro cutscene, don't we? As well, it's just like, yeah, you won everything. There we go. Congratulations, the Legend of Racing will never die. Yeah.
And this game has absolutely fantastic music.
It does indeed. Yeah, so there is a variety of cars as well, but like we said, we'd recommend the Jaguar E-Type. There is the Season 1 run that you can do if you feel to give this a try as well. Promise it's a lot longer and it feels a lot more Gran Turismo. If you're into a bit more of a longer run, that's for you. But yeah, Chronicle mode is a nice little mode to get used to. The other thing I'll mention as well real quick is a lot of the cars you see on the screen, I say that as I scroll through them, so you have to beat one. Every time you beat a car, the next one's unlocked. So you start out, I think, with 3 or 4 cars, and then as you go on beating each car, you end up getting a bit, there's a bit more here, a bit more there, and so on and so on. And then, yeah, it all works out in the end. But that is going to be just about it from my side. Thank you very much, Kenzie, for joining me on CoComs. And also, if I'm not mistaken, I could probably show these up to the camera. Give me a second. Navigate right. So there's the cover, if you can see it. There's GT 2002, and there's the online one. So you've got both there. 2 for the price of 1. Yeah, this is the one for today. I could actually probably get away with submitting that for the next time because I haven't run that yet. But yes, anyway, thank you very much, SegaThon, for allowing me to run this. Yeah, I'll hand it over to the hosts or intermission.
Thank you, Viper. Up next, we're going to be having March TV finishing off our racing block with little micro machines.